Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rams Brothers, the pod. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined by the other host of this show, Nick. And Nick, it's our 100th episode. As serendipitous as we wanted this episode to be, 100 episodes is totally meaningless in the podcast world. But we're here tonight. We're bringing you an episode. Nick, how are you?
Meaningless to me.
Not meaningless to you. All right.
I'm doing good. I mean, I feel like I have a target on my back after some of the tweets I've been throwing out there. But it was funny to start the night. Last night, I was live tweeting the game. And, I'm just being honest about my opinion. I'm a very passionate fan. And I'm bashing some of these players that I think can be doing way better. And it's just heinous tweet after heinous tweet, just horrible things just thrown my way. And then as the night continues and my predictions about this team and who they are become true, people are actually tweeting like, oh, my bad. Like, no, you were kind of right. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
I saved some of the better ones. I won't read them to spare you, but it was just it was horrible. That's not what I want. I think people are out here thinking like I'm like over here smiling that the Rams are doing horrible. I just don't. Some of you Rams fans just don't make sense to me. It's like you can't talk trash on any of the players, especially not Stafford. God forbid. Guy gives away 2 wins. I couldn't help myself. We're not even 2 minutes in, and I am just this game completely just took me to a whole other level.
I'm smiling through the pain. I think that's a good way to kind of start off the episode is honesty, right? Because I mean, you're the kind of person who's genuine, and I'm not just being in your corner because I'm your brother, but I think that the market that we grew up in, honesty within sports, you legitimately invest.
That market being South Philly, like Jersey, just to East Coast, East Coast market,
where we get some of our obnoxiousness from. But at the same time, you have to understand that you invest, and all of you do this. It's a legitimate invested interest that you spend time with, that you dedicate time, money, passion, energy, all of it, heart, everything to the team. So when you get something that you're not expecting, when the team comes out and lays an egg and all expectations on a player like Matthew Stafford are sky high, you don't take into consideration anything like the pressure that he could potentially be going through and the game plans that McVay's trying to scheme up when you add a player. So there's all these different variables, but I think the point is you're allowed to be genuine. You're allowed to be honest. You're allowed to criticize players. None of that stuff is out of bounds. And I don't think any player on this team right now, outside of maybe Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, are players that are out of bounds in terms of players that you can critique. So I'm trying not to defend you in that sense, come to the rescue. But I feel like the performance, when you lose the game 31-10 in a primetime game, back-to-back weeks, you had showed the same issues from week to week. There is a reason to be a little bit outlandish and just be frustrated towards the players and the team.
Yeah, I mean, two weeks in a row, you get a pick six and you get an early interception from Matthew Stafford after the Rams get the ball first. By the way, anytime they get the ball first, horrible juju for this team. It's like, we lost. I don't know why. I've seen no other team is like that.
I wonder if my buddies that are listening that were over my house yesterday, I said, bad sign. Rams are returning, which means they lost the kickoff, which means they're going to lose the game.
Yeah. Also,
what is that? None of that stuff should even enter our minds.
I know, but hold on, really fast before we get into anything else. I just want to talk about Golden Road Brewery. Golden Road Brewery is our official beer sponsor. They were, they're amazing. They have great beer, Rams House beer. Christmas ale is really good. Obviously. They just improve, always producing great beer. And I just want to give a shout out to Golden Road Brewery really fast.
And my bookie, shout out to Golden Road because I needed to drink yesterday during the game.
There you go. And then my bookie, use promo code LAFB to receive double your first deposit instantly. That's promo code LAFB at mybookie.ag. Bet anytime, anywhere with my bookie. Okay. So now let me just you're going to start the game. For 2 podcasts in a row, I'm out here and I'm saying the Rams have no identity outside of solo home run shots. If you drop back and you get that deep receiver in the backfield, Stafford is not a perfect slinger of the football. You can intercept that ball anytime, any deep ball. It's a jump ball. And he goes for Odell immediately. No established chemistry. And the ball's already in the Niners' hands. And then methodically, they take like 10 minutes off the clock. the same scheme they've run against us for 3 years. And it's 7-0. And I just look at my roommate and I'm like, it's about to be 14-0. Just watch. The next play, you can't make this up. Pick 6, Matt Stafford. People want to say, oh, it's Higbee. Higbee dropped the ball. Yeah, Higbee's obviously to blame there. He throws it behind him. And also the play right before that, he overthrows somebody. Ball goes right through a 49er defender's hands. It's those little mistakes add up. And he played horrible 2 weeks in a row. And he's, you give away your future for this guy. And he's just producing nothing on the field. 7 points.
Yeah, the counter argument is that he's produced plenty, and of course it's not against great teams, right? But that scripted series, Nick, you and I talked about that in the preview. We were going to watch that as closely as we possibly could. First play, scripted, Odell Beckham Jr. on a comeback route on the right side of the field. Everybody and their mother knew that the ball was going to Odell, and then you try to force it to him deep. We over-examine that quote by Sean McVay. Shots called doesn't always mean shots taken. That was a shot that was called that didn't have to be taken. But what does he do? He takes the shot anyway, no matter.
Yeah, but don't call that shot too.
Well, what's the reason to call the shot? I mean, I don't think they had established any sort of run game to that point. I think they only had called one run play to that point.
I don't want to sit here and be angry at this Rams team at all. I think people are interpreting that I'm stoked and this is exactly who I thought they were, which is right. But I take no happiness or any kind of glee in any situation where the Rams are losing. I am a wreck during these games. And, obviously I'm very passionate and I'm tweeting the entire time. I don't really care if people come at me. It's my opinion. That's what Twitter is for. It's just, it's abysmal play when you give away a young, inspiring quarterback who has taken you over the top, or they reached the Super Bowl, and Stafford was supposed to be the one that, hey, not only gets you to the Super Bowl, but wins it for you. Newsflash, you have to get there first. And you have to play well in primetime games, which is the only games you have in the playoffs. And Stafford has never been able to do that in his career. And I just don't foresee that happening in the future. And, hopefully I'm wrong, but I haven't been all season.
Well, the hope is that you are wrong. But when you talk about and of course, you're as big of a Rams fan as anybody else, but when it comes to the MVP consideration and, making sure that you're set up just in contention later in the season, losing a divisional game on Monday night, it doesn't play well towards Matthew Stafford's MVP conversation, which is out the window right now. It doesn't play well to the Rams being the type of team that have the identity that can make a deep playoff run, which is something that we also talked about. It's always prime time where you become the most vulnerable, you make mistakes and they become exposed. The Jalen Ramsey conversation on the sideline with Raheem Morris, the Odell Beckham Jr. meme with Matthew Stafford, right? They're becoming this meme team right before our eyes. All the star power, all these different things are happening. And it could happen within one failed scripted series. And then it's a compilation of mistakes to where you can't play from behind. I know we talked about the 49ers and the Cardinals in the week previous, how the 49ers just handed that game over early on. They were down 14-0 due to a Kittle fumble and a Brandon Ayuk fumble. And the Rams came out the next week and did exactly what the 49ers did against the Arizona Cardinals with Colt McCoy and no DeAndre Hopkins. And, just all these different things that this team has done over the past couple of weeks that leave the worst possible taste in your mouth. And I think if you're sitting there feeling optimistic about this team, then you're just a little bit insane because they haven't given you any reason to since Halloween.
Yeah, wins over the Texans and the Giants and squeaking a win over the Lions. I said it yesterday, they have one impressive win all season. Plenty of teams have one impressive win. Even the worst teams have an impressive win. It's just that's not enough. Washington just beat Tampa, the Saints beat Tampa. The Rams can't really they barely beat Seattle. I just feel like there's no fight in them either when they go down. There's zero fight. I just don't understand how how you can have all this talent and, you have this quarterback that's supposed to be like a huge upgrade, and we're in the exact same position we were last year. And it's just, it's horrible. And by the way, we're also now paying for 2 quarterbacks, and we traded away our future for this guy on a 2-year deal. So like next year he's out of here potentially.
Well, $45 million, $46 million, I think is tied up to the quarterback position at this point. So you could have kept Goff, saved $10 million and added another defensive back or safety.
Yeah, or maybe even more help on the O-line.
But the thing is, though, the reason why people get so upset is because that can't be the case anymore. And I think when you make the comparison, I know Taran tweeted, "I miss Goff." I know we'll talk about that in the second portion of the episode. And you miss Goff too. And there are times where it was his ability to overcome things, to not make mistakes over and over and over again, and be resilient and be durable, right? All these things that you kind of grew to admire about him, although he did make mistakes. They just didn't seem to come in 26-second increments like Matthew Stafford does, where you'll have a turnover and then back-to-back you'll give away another 7 points. You can't be down 14-0 in back-to-back weeks. And again, it's the scariest part about it all is that it's scripted series. These are series that they plan throughout the week. This one looked like it was a last-second test preparation when you got to prepare for a presentation and you have 3 slides together and you have no idea what the hell you're going to say. That's what it felt like. It just felt unprepared, which is not the personality of McVay. It's not the identity of the team or what they want it to be, at least. And McVay's coming out and saying in post-game interviews that he refuses to believe that this is the identity of this team. I feel the opposite. I don't
know. I don't know what other identity you could give them. They're so soft.
So soft. Just leave us with that. So soft. For all you could put it in these terms. 49ers, 10 rushing first downs in this game. Rams over the last 2 weeks have had 7 total. And these are against 2 teams in Tennessee and San Francisco, averaging more than 110 yards allowed on the ground per game. 49ers ran the ball, had the ball for 40 minutes total. They ran the ball 44 times, an average of 3.5 yards per carry throughout this entire game. Rams had the ball for 20 minutes total. So they ran the ball 10 times. Every time. 5.2 yards per carry.
Minus the touchdown drive, it's like, oh my God, like another third down. It's like you can't, back in the day, it's like second down, first down after second down, first down after first down. It's like, why are we being held to third down, like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7? Like,
yeah.
Also,
the downs and distances that they're being held to, it's 1, affecting the play calling, but 2, it's because you're not establishing anything prior to those longer down and distances on 3rd down, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. What are you doing on those first 2 play calls? Right, you're going to put Stafford in empty and you're going to try to take a shot down the field, or you're going to risk throwing it to a receiver. I think they had to have at least 8 or 9 drops last night.
Yeah.
So
reason, the drops are just inexcusable. They emotionally checked out of that game way before they should, because they could have come back. So the second half starts, right? I want to talk about the fake field goal.
Please.
Because either you stay on the field, you keep your offense on the field, which is what I would have done, because they're in victory formation either way. It's like 15 seconds left. You have a shot at the end zone if you want to go for it, which I would have applauded at that point. That's totally fine. Make it 14-21, but keep the offense on the field. Give it a real shot. Or 2, you get 10 points and you go, all right, our defense is going to come out strong and we're going to turn this thing around. Yeah. And then, so the fake is horrendous. Somehow the defense has enough in them to rally a stop. And then what do? It's 3 run plays. It's a run, and then a pitch run. And that's what you come out after adjustments. This was maybe the worst Sean McVay game we've ever seen. I think the blame, I would put most of it on McVay, a lot of it on Stafford. Morris is the only coach that actually came out and adjusted in the second half, because after that, the Rams get another stop immediately after. And it's like, okay, here you go, offense, do something. Do anything. If you get any points here, the game is not over. And they couldn't for the rest of the night. And it's it's a combination of just really, really poor play calling, horrendous QB play, and the receivers just kind of emotionally checking out and dropping balls. And
and it's all really good points. I think you could add in there too. Kyle Shanahan did an amazing job of isolating some of our best players. I mean, he knew that Von Miller wasn't necessarily a massive concern last night as you're kind of slowly integrating him into the defense. So essentially you could let him rush one-on-one, do a spin move, whatever he wants. The ball's already out. And in one case, George Kittle just pancaked him and laid him right on his back. But then what they did to Jalen Ramsey, I felt like was just flat out masterful. And in my opinion, Nick, I think you'll agree with this. He's such a dog. He has that mentality where he's going to do whatever is necessary. He's often put in a really tough spot where he feels like he has multiple assignments. So Jalen Ramsey, he does an awful lot of communicating with the defensive backs pre-snap, and it's a reason why he has to be communicating. There's a massive reason, because he legitimately has an entire notebook of assignments, depending on how the 49ers are lined up, the personnel grouping that's out there, if they're expecting a run of the pass, or what the down or distance is. There's so many different variables that come into play there. So for example, Ryan Clark and Dan Orfalowski just recently broke down the film today. They noted how the 49ers are just running standard 11 personnel. Well, they're a bunch Juszczyk or Ayuk next to Jalen Ramsey, so that Ramsey has to communicate, adjust, and cover the flat, which then switches the assignment up in the second level to Fuller and Rapp, two guys that haven't shown this year that they're as capable without Brandon Staley. So then they successfully use a supporting cast essentially to move Jalen Ramsey away from their primary pass catcher. And they did this all night. They did it with George Kittle. They did it with Deebo Samuel all night. And the simple fix, Nick, this is the part where I feel like you're just killing yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Stop being fancy with the best defensive back in football. Let him go man-to-man with the other best receiver in football.
I was literally about to say this. You have the best CB, right? He's going in for blitz packages. Like, enough of that.
Well, and you know what? When Deebo comes in as a running back, he feels like he has to be sucked into the run as well, because if that's his core assignment, he's following Deebo Samuel opposed to George Kittle, right? There's a very simple audible that you can make, an adjustment that you can make if you see Troy Reader is on George Kittle. You see David Long's coming over to help. You see Robert Rochelle, who didn't make a tackle all night. They were just toying with the Rams' defense. And that to me it's lack of preparation. It's the fact that Raheem Morris, he has new pieces on this defense, but maybe they haven't put enough effort into the fact that they need more defensive back help. Darius Williams has been banged up. They haven't gotten enough out of David Long Jr. Robert Rochelle hasn't progressed as they would have liked him to this point. So very, very, very difficult hand that you're being dealt in that situation. But again, Nick, that fourth down conversion that blew the game wide open, that was the most aggravating part of the entire game to me, to the point where whatever drink was nearest to me, I was sucking it down. But that game, it was 3rd and 6, that play. And I won't forget the feeling that I had when the Rams thought that they were getting off of the field, because Jimmy G missed on a pass to Jeff Wilson Jr. on 3rd and 6. Everybody was celebrating. Von Miller was slapping hands with Ashawn Robinson. Down 24-7, they're celebrating that they're getting off the field on 3rd and 6. And they're also in the Rams' territory. And what happens next? Ramsey communicates to the I'm sorry, no, that's not. So, Ramsey, this is the play where Ramsey had to communicate, where he had to cover the flat. And when Ramsey made that communication, it dragged him away from the middle of the field. It put him out to the corner where he had to cover Brandon Ayuk. And Deebo is running a crosser, and Taylor Rapp can't make the play. Jimmy G throws a perfect pass. 4th and 6 goes for a touchdown, breaks the game wide open 31-7. And that's all she wrote.
Yeah. So, wasn't there like a whole fourth quarter after that too? That's when I turned the game off and started playing Madden with my roommate.
Yeah,
Madden 07.
Well, that's a good one to play. If I were you playing Madden and I was playing against the Rams and I was using the 49ers, I saw a handful of plays, and I specifically like this play because I feel like it's very simplified for Sean McVay, especially because Kyle Shanahan's his BFF, to integrate this into the playbook. They would come out 5 wide, 11 personnel with Garoppolo and empty, just like the Rams. And then they would motion Deebo into the backfield to take the handoff. So then the running back, Jeff Wilson or Elijah Mitchell is used as a blocker, and the wide receiver Deebo Samuel is used as a running back. So it's a very simple concept that Kyle Shanahan was likely just throwing in Sean McVay's face. He said, hey, I know you love to run empty out of 11 personnel, but you've clearly never thought of motioning one of your receivers into the backfield for a very simplified 5-yard gain, which will wear down the defense, keep them on their toes, make them work, make them think, and inevitably open up the game for the pass. And all Jimmy G in this game, all he had to do was go 15 of 19 for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 141.7. Oh my God.
I think this is the first time I smiled the whole podcast, just kind of laughing
what
at that sound.
Hell was I watching?
Yeah,
Deebo Samuel, 10 of 15 receptions, 3 to Ayuk, 1 to Juszczyk, 1 to Juan Jennings. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, this is who the Rams are, right? And I was playing Madden, and I realized that they're like the little you're like younger cousin. You go over and you're Shanahan in this situation, or just any capable coach, and you're just looking at him, and you're looking at his plays, and every single one is like Hail Mary or like tight end screen, and like the B option is just like, So you do cover 3 or like QB spy, and you just pull back and you user pick every single time. Like it's not that challenging. And here I am, not an expert at all. And I'm sitting there, and I called the identity of this team is the panic, double gamble, double down, deep ball when we have nothing else. And it's pathetic.
I think
it's not good enough
they've fallen in love with
teams.
I think you're right. You're right. It's not good enough to beat good teams, but I think they've fallen in love with doubling down. I mean, this offseason, you doubled down on Matthew Stafford. You've doubled down on Jalen Ramsey in the past. You've doubled down on Von Miller. You doubled down on Odell Beckham Jr. Everything you've done this past offseason, you're investing in this team to go back to the Super Bowl. So you're kind of obsessed with the aspect of gambling at this point. So it's now trickling into the game plan to where you could have something with Odell Beckham Jr. where you use him as a damn decoy the whole game. You could let him fly, have Odell Beckham Jr. split out wide, run a fly down the left side of the field the whole game, drag a safety, and create things underneath. You could even have him run a post or a slant or anything that will draw a primary defender away from your primary pass catcher. It's not that difficult, and they made it so overly complicated. Odell had 2 catches for 18 yards in this game. I mean, what a way to integrate him into the offense. How smart did he look going from Cleveland to the Rams, where he was getting 8, 9, 6 targets? I don't know, man. I mean, obviously it's going to be a process. You can't give up on the team, and it's very much a process right now, but they haven't given you a lot to chew on at all.
Yesterday I tweeted, I no longer believe in this team. I don't think they can get to a Super Bowl, not let alone win one. I am not ready to give up. I think if you come out of the bye, and I really don't even think you have to win. A win would be great, because then that, you could still win the division, and you can just get hot at the right time. I just need to see a tough football team, which is something I haven't really seen from them all season.
Sure.
They're flashy. They're boastful. They're loud. And none of that equates to a winning team.
I think
know what?
That's all we want.
They're 7-3, and some people would say I'm overreacting to a 7-3 record. I would completely disagree. When you have an off season like this, and you make the moves that you have made, and everybody knows that you are Super Bowl or bust, and you bring in a guy to save a team that didn't need saving, that was a game away from the NFC Championship, at home, if they would have had a healthy Aaron Donald and the defense would have stepped up a little more. you have to be better than this. That's all.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm overreacting. I stand by my opinions, every single one of them. I think we'd be probably in the exact same place if we would have just kept Goff. We would have probably had a brighter future, and I'm sure he probably would have progressed a little more under McVay this year. And look, they didn't trust the guys in the room, and they got new guys, and it's hard to get a whole superstar team to just play along well. And the emotion on the sideline. Like, I'm watching that game and I'm just seeing like Odell.
You could feel it too.
Yeah, he's standing with like one arm down. He's got like one judgment arm, and I'm like on his hip, and I'm like, that's a meme. Ramsey freaking out. I literally called that on the last podcast.
That's a meme.
Donald on the sideline, just like kind of dumbfounded meme. The 49ers guy flashing the
chain.
Yeah, meme. It's just that. And you know what? They deserve all of that. They deserve every bit of that. I mean, I had to look at pictures of McVay holding the Thanos gauntlet all week, the Infinity Gauntlet, because he got Odell and yet he has no rings. I was like, I know this is going to come back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that.
I have so much more I could say, and I kind of want to address Rams fans in general, and I want to say, stop being such babies. You need to let people, bash your players, fans, because that's what fans do. And also, I'm not coming at this purely from a fan perspective like most of you. I am not going to sit here and say my team is amazing all the time when they are not. I've watched mediocrity on the Rams. I've watched the St. Louis Rams. I watched the Jeff Fisher Rams. I'm not going to just sit here and be like, everything's daisies. And I'm not going to blame the defensive coordinator like everybody else wants to do, because he didn't really do a horrible job. He kept them in that game where the offense didn't. So grow up, kind of. I'm just pulling no punches today. I don't give a
No, I like it. I like that you're saying it, because it's not out of bounds to criticize your team. I don't think it makes you a bad fan whatsoever. I think the way that it's said, and I'm not saying you specific, but the way criticism is interpreted is always going to be different. It's the same way with Twitter, just in any tweet, right? Any tweet can be interpreted differently by the person who reads it. So again, your criticism could be taken as, okay, this guy's passionate. He's tweeting about the team. He wants the team to be better. Or it can be taken as Nick's a bad fan, eat a bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah. You know what? I'm done with that too. People that follow me and are tweeting at me heinous things. I'm not going to follow you anymore. I could care less about what you think in your mind. Whatever disgusting thing comes up to you. But
you have to just be able to
people slide in being like, oh, yo, sorry, emotions got the best of me. Get the hell out of here. I had no time for that kind of childish buffoonery. And you know what? This is crazy, because right after this, if you're listening to this episode, you're going to listen to Taran Killam and Dean just be absolutely lovely and amazing. And Dean, you did such an amazing job. And Taran was a great guest. And he's going to be able to relax everybody down a little bit, which I think is much needed and great. But yeah, I've reached the point where I don't care.
I've had a lot of time to kind of sit and marinate on it. It's when you have expectations that are so high, when you have a target on your back, when everybody is coming for you, when you sign these big time players, it puts you in a very awkward position, because like I tweeted yesterday from the account, you're not asking for that kind of stuff. As much as you want all the star power just to be able to go out and win, you're not asking for the memes, for the social media interactions, for all the negativity that surrounds your team when you're not pitching the perfect game and the recipe isn't 100% spotless, right? So that to me is what I'm happy about, is the fact that that's kind of the narrative is kind of moving away from that. I mean, they're 7-3 now. They're not the best football team in the league. You have to deal with Dallas, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Green Bay, San Francisco, obviously within the conference. So I just don't want the conversation to be so heavily focused on the fact that the Rams are this next up and coming Super Bowl contender. They're going to be a threat forever. Now it's more so you're resetting expectations. You've had these back-to-back humbling losses. Obviously, I thought the loss to Tennessee was going to be enough to kind of reevaluate, plus the combined 2 years of losses to Kyle Shanahan to reset your mind and be ready for Monday night. Wasn't the case. This is double humble pie. So I talked to Taran a little bit about, and this is just a preview, what does the plan look like during a bye week? You either beat San Francisco, you go back to Cabo, or you lose to San Francisco, you stay home for 2 weeks. And I think they're in the position where you just kind of have to sit, reevaluate everything. You have to look at the playbook. You have to go back and watch tape on everybody that's in the conference that's a contender, because you have no idea what you can take from that. I think there's things you could take from Arizona, you could take from San Francisco, take from Tampa Bay, right? Even from Green Bay with what they're doing with Devontae Adams, like just all of these different things. And it's really just kind of basic stuff out of 11 personnel, where something as simple as motioning Deebo Samuel into the backfield, which is something they could have very easily done with Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp, and changed the narrative of this game. You could effectively incorporate a strong run game, a strong run game plan. And that's my thing, Nick, is they have the ability to do it. They have the personnel to do it. Obviously, Henderson's been nursing a little bit of an ankle injury, but you can be tough. You can be gritty. They have good run blockers. So I just think they need to, most of it falls on McVay. I just think that they need to kind of readjust their game plan, reevaluate their previous scripted series, and pull things, cheat a little bit, pull things from the contenders, throw things into the playbook, practice them for 2 weeks, and roll out a brand new identity in the back half of this season. That to me, I feel like, again, my gut's telling me that they're not a good enough football team. My bias is telling me crazy shit happens in football. So keep on watching and enjoy the ride. So.
Oh, his gut's telling them they're not a good enough team. Same.
There's a lot of recency bias in football, but how do you watch that game last night and say, yeah, they could still win the Super Bowl?
What was cracking me up today was the tweets where it's like Matthew Stafford still, obvious MVP candidate, front runner. And I'm just like, I think you must be a satirical account if you're tweeting something like that, because I don't know how you could, after those 2 games in a row, how you could legitimately say that. And, it's one thing if you have those performances and your team ekes out a win, like Josh Allen has against, a couple of these bad teams that he's been playing. Mm-hmm. But dude's still winning. You know what I mean? Like, it's just horrible.
I mean, they just don't have the feel like a good football team that can beat a divisional rival, doesn't go 0 for 2 on 4th down. They're not 1 for 4 in the red zone. They're not 3 of 10 on 3rd down. Just little things that I think that they can correct. So I think there's a reason to have some optimism, but also there's a reason to be pessimistic and throw shots at your players, because that's what you do as a fan. I mean, you're kind of built to critique. If it's not always constructive criticism, it may be taken a certain way. But again, I think all critiques are fair game. But if it gets a little bit outlandish, it's sports media. Nick, you're putting yourself in a position where you're inviting all of that stuff. So, it's, again, you could address fans, whatever you want to do, but anything that's controversial is always going to be taken in a way, and there will always be replies, and there will always be stuff that you may not like. So
I'll be your, I'll be the Rams fans, Skip Bayless. I don't care.
Yeah, you could be Skip.
Skip Bayless lives a pretty good life and makes a lot of money. But yeah,
complete opposite of us.
Yeah, exactly. Should we toss it to Taran?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah. Hey, if you're still here and you're still listening, I want to thank you for coming along with the ride. I mean, as much as I want to, talk smack and everything, all Rams fans, we're all in this together, man. Like, every single one of us is just absolutely destroyed when you watch a loss like this. And luckily we don't have to, they can't ruin our weekend next weekend. So,
yep. We got good stuff coming up, man. We got Thanksgiving, family time. You don't have to sit through another Rams loss before Thanksgiving rolls around, and then we'll be ready to go. Football will be back on the 28th in Green Bay, 1:25 Pacific time. think it's
Yeah, we'll be
4:25
watching the Packers game with your brother-in-law.
Big Packers fan.
Who's a Packers fan. Grew up in Jersey. It's a little sus.
Oh yeah, never heard of that before.
How could you do that? How could you not be noticed?
How could you ever do that?
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to take that if they lose
3 straight. I don't
we
know.
Might have to. We may have
to. McVay's never lost 3 straight in his career. Almost 100% sure about that.
I feel like that must be a fact. But I mean, there's a bye, so does it count if it is it really 3 straight?
Counts.
All
like
right.
I always say, there's no time like the present.
All right, guys. Drink some Golden Road Brewery. Be a degenerate on mybookie.ag. Have some fun this weekend. We'll pass it off to Taran. Dean, take us away.
Talk to you guys later. Peace. Go
This
Rams.
is definitely the episode I've talked most. Go Rams.
It's okay. You're the host.
Yeah.